In this screencast, we'll discuss Chapter 1 of McChesney's The Problem of the Media. Political Problem, Political Solutions. This chapter situates the problem of the media firmly within the realm of political policies and suggests that that's where the solutions to the problems lie as well. In this screencast, we'll focus on the first part of that chapter, media markets and policies. In this editorial cartoon by Hurwitz, we find illustrated some of the key problems associated with the media that McChesney chooses to discuss. He writes the direct link between control over the media and control over the society is self-evident. This, of course, parallels Gramsci's concept of hegemony, where the media is one of the three major players. We see in this cartoon a discussion of labor issues being conducted with such labor experts as representatives of Walmart, Nike, and General Motors, all major corporations wielding great power in our political system. The areas that McChesney is concerned about include, first, content, and second, the structure that produces that content. And of course this harks back to Lewis and Jolly's concept of media literacy. McChesney points out that the policies, structures, subsidies, and institutions that are created to control, direct, and regulate the media will be responsible for the logic and nature of the media system. That is to say, of course, that our media system is not something that just grew naturally, but it was shaped by all of those policies, structures, subsidies, and institutions that McChesney mentions here. One of those institutions, of course, that we've been focusing on is the corporation. And here we see, for example, that this corporate structure of the mainstream media in relationship to the content that it's going to produce reveals that when corporate elites control the media and thereby the content of the media, we can see, and of course here for humor in the cartoon it is only slightly exaggerated, but the output based on the structure is going to produce such oddities as captains of industry explaining environmentalism. That is, the worst polluters explaining to us what environmentalism should or should not include, army generals talking to us about how to achieve peace, men talking about women's issues, white people talking about issues of race, and all in all, once again, an example of foxes guarding hen houses, which is, of course, the last issue for discussion in that list. One of the key issues that McChesney reveals for us here is the real nature of the word deregulation. In fact, deregulation makes no sense as a term. It only makes sense as a frame, because as McChesney points out, you cannot truly deregulate an institution, whether it be the economy or the media. You can simply re-regulate it. And remember, laws are not the only way by which we regulate institutions like the media. We can regulate them using market forces. which is really what deregulation is a code word for. Let's shift from legal regulations to market regulations. The architecture of the institution can also provide us with a form of regulation. And again, that architecture, that structure right now is predominantly corporate, and social norms are another source of regulation. So deregulation frames market regulation as an escape from, and again we're back to that previous frame we've discussed, that is big government. Deregulation as a term derives its power from a belief in the frame of big government. And this is going to become important as we're talking about the structure, especially the corporate, the commercial structure of the media, and as we progress to looking at the commercial content of the media. Again, this idea of deregulation, which is again a code word for market regulation of the media, is going to become increasingly important. Important to understand the real nature, the real meaning of the word. In this second cartoon by Tom Tomorrow, one of the things that we see then in terms of the structure, the corporate structure of the mainstream news media, is an example of our concern with the relationship between that corporate structure and the content that we will find in the media that is shaped by that structure. So we see, for example, in the first frame of this particular cartoon, how the news works, and he lays out step by step, beginning with a corporation that has been caught engaging in some illegal or unethical activity, which then leads it to engage in a public relations campaign in order to reshape that particular activity in a way that will change the public response to it. It won't change the behavior, it will simply reframe the behavior so that the public accepts that illegal or unethical behavior. So that step 2 involves the corporation using a PR firm to create a frame that will manipulate public opinion in any variety of, as the cartoon says, devious, underhanded ways, such as anonymously planting op-ed pieces in the nation's newspapers, or in the next frame, creating video news releases. These VNRs are used by local stations at a higher rate than stations as a whole in order to help fill the news hole without any additional cost to the business. And step 3, of course, is public opinion is swayed as a result of this campaign of deliberate manipulation. And in this case, the conclusion is, I can't imagine why we ever worried about toxic sludge, because as the documentary and the book both reveal to us, toxic sludge is good for you. So this structural issue that McChesney reminds us of is an integral part of the media literacy equation that we examined as we were reading Lewis and Jolly, where we encounter that that the culture of production. That is, you need to understand the production process and the source and motives of that production. And of course, having read about and viewed the documentary on the corporation, you realize that the corporation is focused on the bottom line. The corporation is an externalizing machine, and in the case of the news media, one of those externalities is a debased news media. A news media that does not fulfill its obligations to a democratic society. A news media that does not provide us with the information that we need to be effective citizens.